You're a brand new driver, you've never moved a semi before, there must be a bajillion ways to shift a truck. I'll go over the basic fundamentals again. Follow these the best you can. Time to learn how to use the shifter. There's lots of different speeds, 10 speeds, 13 speeds, 18 speeds. There's even, I'm sure some of your instructors, they've probably used a dual stick semi, all kinds of fun stuff. So how we're going to do this today is this is a 10 speed, and it's pretty much as basic as you can get. It doesn't have the side splitter on it. It just has this guy right here, which shifts from low gear to high gear. So we're going to go over all the pieces on this and what that looks like. When you first hop into your truck, you're going to be able to see, is it a 10 speed or not? And a really easy way to see that is just to look on the dash. If you hop in your truck, on the dash, you're going to see this guy right here says Eaton Fuller transmission, high, low, right there. So all the low gears are in black and all the high gears are in white. And then right over here, you can see where it says 10 speed, range selector, high and low. And this guy actually has a picture of a side splitter right there, but this doesn't have a side splitter in it. Sure, it's just a generic photo. So check your truck. It's going to tell you what speed it is, all those good things. So let's go over the basics of shifting. The biggest thing we want to learn is abuse of equipment and how to not do that. You can drive a semi around all day long in school and learn all day long. But the minute you start abusing the equipment, that's when the instructor will pull you out of your seat. Because, well, to repair transmission, $6,000 to $7,000 on a minimum level. So it is your 100% goal and your responsibility to not abuse the equipment when you sit in this driver's seat. So how do we not abuse the equipment, right? There's some really simple things you could do. If you noticed, in the truck, you have your shifter, right? And you got your little guy right here on top. And if I were to measure that, you're probably looking at about, let's say about 2.5 feet, right? You got about 2.5 feet from where you put your hand to shift, right up here on top, to the bottom. So what you have in the transmission right down here is what you're going to be shifting, right? These aren't some massive monster gears where you need to shove it into gear to work. So really, what you have here is a massive torque bar, essentially to smash everything inside here when using it properly. If this was all the way down here, you wouldn't have that problem. You'd be way down there shifting. Obviously, you'd have to go farther forward, right, to make it lean into gear. But you wouldn't have all of that torque with your arm. So it's your responsibility when you put your hand on that shifter to never smash these little tiny gears in here to get it into gear. And you can do that just like a torque bar that you'd use for prying about anything. Maybe pry bar is a better word to use here, but you can smash it into gear this way or this way. And the thing is for the most part, it won't go into gear, but it will go into gear. The closer you get it to gear with more force, you at some point can smash it into gear. So being super light on that shifter when you go into gear will prevent that all the time. So something really easy to do. Got your shifter right here, right? There's a couple things you don't ever want to do. Don't put your fist on the shifter so you have white knuckles. If you have white knuckles, you're nervous, you're grabbing it way too hard. Don't grab it down here at the bottom because you're going to be the person that does this forward or backwards or this way or that way. Not on the bottom. Don't hold it on the side. When you grab it, just put a couple fingers on the top. 3 works, 4 works right there. But all it is you're just moving it this way and this way, this way and this way. Your hand is not the person that puts us in the gear. Your foot does with the clutch, and your RPMs. Your hand is simply guiding this to where it needs to go when you shift. So shifting pattern, right? Let's go. We have our shifting pattern down here. And if you were to take this guy right here, this 10 speed, we've got reverse, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So on this guy, 1, 2, to center, 3, 4, over, 5, 6. What you're going to find on 1, that right there, that's called a soft wall. So there's a little spring in here. When you bump it over this way, you'll know when you go over there. When you go over, you can go forward, right? Or you'll go into reverse, you go over, you go back, you're going to go over into first. Whenever you take it out of gear, you start in first, which is really nice, is when you go out of first, when your hand's light on this, it will actually bump it straight over to second for you. You don't have to take it out of first and go over and up. If you do that, what you're going to find is you're going to go over and you're just going to put it into fourth gear on accident. When you go out of fourth, this is naturally going to pop out and go right into second gear for you. Is really nice. And the reason for that is because if it didn't, we would go straight into first or straight into reverse, and that'd be really bad. It wouldn't go, but you would have enough grinding. You'd have to go pick up pieces of the transmission behind you for sure. Here we go. We got reverse, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Got our little spring. That's a great spring. Got our soft wall. And now we have this little splitter guy right here. So if you look right here on the front of the shifter, you can actually hear that. It's going to shift it. You have low gear, and you shift it up. High gear, low gear, high gear. So what high gear does is it actually puts it, I'll just put them on the bottom here. They are on the top in the diagram, but we're going to go right there. We're going to go 6th gear, and we're going to go 7th gear. Here, I'll write this so it makes sense for you. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to go right there. We're going to go 6. We're going to go 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's our other set of gears. So now it's a 10 speed. 1, 2. Oop, I got that wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Splitter goes up, back over. 6. It's going to pop out with the spring. 7, 8, up, over, 9, 10. A really good way to think of these two is once it pops over into 7 and you go 8, if you take your hand and put it from here to the side, you'll just push it over far enough and it'll go into gear. And then when you put it into 10th, just pull backwards right there. And it's a really good way for you to know where you're at. Whenever you're shifting, you will lose where you're at when you start. After a few gears, you're going to be nervous. You can always look down and check on the little diagram to see which gear you're in on each one. So there's our basics of the shifting part, right? A couple hands on the top. Here's our splitter for low gear. High gear, we don't use this as a torque bar to put it into gear. Got our little spring right here for our soft wall. Go over into reverse. And when we put it into gear, so you remember how to do that, all the way to the floor when the truck is not moving, completely stopped. All the way to the floor, clutch brake engages, then we push it into gear, reverse or first gear. Time to put all the fundamentals together. You're a brand new driver, you've never moved a semi before, maybe you've driven around the yard a little bit, Your instructor's in the passenger seat. They're getting ready to take you out on the road. And in the back of your head, you're just like, I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos and there must be a bajillion ways to shift a truck. I'll go over the basic fundamentals again. Follow these the best you can. Patience is key when learning to shift. You have to have patience with yourself. You have to have patience with the truck, and you have to have patience with the instructor. And you also have to acknowledge that you are not good at this, and that is okay. You came to truck driving school not because you knew everything, but because you needed to learn how to drive. So be ready to learn, listen to your instructor, follow the basic fundamentals of shifting, and this is going to be a lot easier for you. So let's go over, we're going to do a little recap on all the basics. You've hopped in the truck for the very first time, right? First thing we're going to do, we'll adjust our seat. We'll put our seat where it needs to go. That way we can reach the pedals. We can make sure our foot, when we actually touch that pedal, right, is on the floor. We'll put it right there. There's a great foot. We got our foot on the floor, our little heel right there. Perfect. We got our accelerator pedal just where we want it. We have our clutch over here. When we push on the clutch, just remember on that guy, we got our dead space, our shifting, and then our clutch brake right back there. Same with that one. Now we've got our foot set where it needs to go. We understand our clutch depth. We understand the RPMs. Got those little RPMs right here, right? RPMs, boom, RPMs right there. And now we've also acknowledged how to properly use this shifter, right? The order of these don't really matter too much. The order of this guy should be last though. You should understand how to smoothly accelerate in the truck and let off the accelerator. You should understand what a clutch brake is and how far to push it in. And you should also understand when to shift. There's your 1100 right there. And one last thing before you go on the road is that your mirrors are always adjusted so you can see everything behind you. Accelerator foot, clutch, how to properly use it, RPMs, and now it's time to use the shifter.